Guys, welcome to a Thanks Network monthly AMA and community call. I'm here today, Philip, and we'll be discussing some of the recent introductory stuff that's going on in the Thanks community. So let's go to the slide here. All right, so we got what today we'll be discussing the agenda. On the agenda today, we'll be discussing some use case decks for Thanks Network, as well as the community incentives, treasury update, and the upcoming DAO, which Mizuko and Marlos will be discussing, and answering questions for the community.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Philip. Let me take it over immediately. So first of all, we want to thank everybody again for being here. For those who have been paying attention, you surely have seen that we have recently launched our community incentives program. We'll talk a bit more about that in some upcoming slides. But for now, make sure to grab your phone, even if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards. And make sure to scan this QR code because we've got a little present for you for those who show up and watch the recording of the session. This is something we will continue be doing in upcoming AMAs. So make sure to attend them or watch them afterwards and get a little bonus for your valuable time as a token of our appreciation, of course. That being said, first of all, the use case decks. We've recently released 3 use case decks for various target audiences. So we've created one for communities, one for athletes, and one a bit more general for creators and artists. And these are all freely available on docs.thanks.network. And what these decks do is they give you an overview of our thinking behind how you can utilize our decks for these various target audiences. During the sales process, we have noticed that sometimes organizations want to jump into Web3, but they don't really know where to start and how they can utilize it, or they just know about crypto and blockchain from things like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and they associate it with money and investing, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. I mean, it can be, of course, if you want to utilize it like that. But we have thought of some more novel use cases on how you can utilize this tech to engage and unite your community. And that's something that we outline in these decks. We highly encourage everybody to go there to the docs and have a look at them because they will greatly help with convincing other people to start adopting Web3 for their organizations and communities. And yeah, it's just a kind of different way of thinking about how we can utilize blockchain in the future. In this session, I'll highlight 2 of the use cases that we wrote. These are coming from the Creators and Artists deck. If you've got any questions regarding these, if you've got any organizations or communities or creators or whatever that you think might be interested in using these, feel free to reach out to them on your own or reach out to us and connect us with them, and there can be a little reward for that as well. More coming up on that later as well. So yeah, of course, like I said, you can utilize these decks for our inbound sales mining program. We just quickly discussed it last time as well during our AMA session. So we launched this sales mining program, which means that we launched it to kind of upscale our marketing efforts, because we want to, now it's very critical for Thanks Network to get more customers. And that's why we want to involve our community and, of course, reward our community members for the time they're putting into growing Thanks Network together with us. So we've set up bounties up to 40k thanks, which is quite a nice figure even in this bear market. It's a way for you to make some crypto, to make some money out of crypto in these, let's say, troubling times. So yeah, make sure to utilize these decks, and also if you need some additional materials like maybe email templates and stuff like that, please reach out to the team. We've got a lot of stuff available. Our colleague Stefan has been reaching out to a lot and lots of people. So we've got many materials available for you, which can help you with getting some of these bounties. So without further ado, one of the use cases that we envision. So I wanted to highlight something about the usage of NFTs, because the NFTs have been a super hot topic, of course, let's say the last few years, but they've mainly been used as investment as ways to invest in digital art, to give ownership about physical assets, but that's not something it has to be utilized for. We envision NFTs also as a way to encourage fan behavior and enabling fans within communities to showcase their status within a certain community. So, for example, we've created this virtual theater that has launched its own theater crypto token, and by embedding these in their system, we can track how many users are completing certain online actions. So, for example, if the customer relations management system shows that that a customer has attended over 10 shows, we airdrop them or we send an NFT to their wallet that gives them a badge, just like some sort of achievement like you would get on PlayStation or Xbox, right? Or if people share their content on social media, or if they leave a review on the website, basically any type of action, either digital or in the real world, that provides value for the organization that has created these coins. So we are very happy to hear what you are thinking about these types of NFTs and how you envision these being implemented within organization. But of course, it doesn't stop there, right? So people have earned all these badges, they've got these achievements, sort of say. So what can we do with them then? What we envision is, for example, creating exclusivity through loyalty for your communities. So, for example, if somebody has earned the reviewer badge by leaving a review about a certain show for this, again, non-existing theater on their website, this opens up a new section in the web shop of the theater that allows users to buy certain products that other users aren't able to buy. So you can envision this for other types of companies as well. It's basically you can provide exclusive access to, let's say, game tickets, merch, so merchandising, offline experience, pre-sales for shows that are super popular, things like that. So we highly encourage communities and organizations to really think about how they can integrate these type of achievements into their ecosystem to further stimulate behavior that they want from their fans. This is something that is basically already completely supported by THX Network. Some of the parts are still under development, but if for any potential customers listening in, please reach out to us. Maybe we can prioritize certain things if you are really keen on utilizing those within your use case. Again, there are way more use cases in the decks that we have that I just referred to in the docs. So make sure to check them out. Yeah, that's it for that. Yeah, so I already highlighted some of the community incentives like the QR code in the beginning. But I also want to highlight that within these docs, we've hidden a few codes as well as a thank you for people who really dive into them and read everything. So we'll make it worth your while to check out these documentations and really keep a close eye on what we are publishing week by week. So a few updates on the community rewards. We launched it about 3 weeks ago, just before the previous AMA. And so far, over 16,000 thanks has already been claimed. We have sent out reward links to people for engaging on social media. For example, new followers, people that are tweeting to us, liking some of our stuff. We have shared reward links with people in our community channels. For example, if somebody comes in, asks a question, and somebody from the core or the mod team isn't there on time, and a community member answers the question, they get a little thank you from us as well in a DM. Attending the AMA, like I just said, make sure to scan those QR codes. And of course, we gave a few rewards to the students that participated in our minor program. And like I just mentioned, there are still some hidden rewards in the documentation. So besides that, we are very keen to hear from you, from our community members. If you've got any more ideas on how we can better stimulate engagement within our communities to make sure that we get that, Philip just said, to get the hype train going. So yeah, that's one part of the community incentives that's live. Again, the reminder, make sure to utilize this sales mining program as well. There's lots of thanks to be earned, and you'll both be growing the community, our customer base, and therefore the whole project. So yeah. And lastly, there's little bounty still outgoing. We still have this pinned to the top of our Twitter profile. We are doing a seed round, as we communicated on Twitter, and we've already got a very extensive list of contacts, both VCs and angel investors that we're in touch with at the moment. But of course, we're always keen to get to know people from outside of our immediate network, or people that we maybe haven't found. So if you reply to this tweet and mention creator economy or Web3 or infra tooling, angel or VC, you will receive a DM with a link for 125 thanks tokens. Little effort, but there's some value to be had for you. Before moving on, if there's any questions or something like that, like I said, I aren't able to see my Discord at the moment, but Philip, maybe you can have a look if somebody's maybe share some questions in one of our channels, or otherwise we will be moving on to the next.
No questions in any of our community channels at the present.
Cool.
So yeah.
I have a quick question, Jorrit. How much thanks is left in the pool? Do we have to replenish it?
There's about 3,500 thanks left for the outstanding reward links. That's enough for now, but it would be wise to fill it up in somewhere in the coming weeks.
So I need to get some more. I think we bought. I think we bought the first batch just by market, right? These are not coming from the treasury, I think.
Exactly, yeah. The first one, yeah, like we explained in the last AMA, the first investment was from our private funds. So yeah, no community approval needed. This is just good for everybody, I guess.
Okay, very good.
Moving on to our outbound sales and our seed round. So we just discussed our inbound sales program, and of course, Stefan, our sales guy, is very hard at work with some outbound sales as well. Okay, for the outbound sales and the seed round, like I mentioned, our colleague Stefan is very hard at work with chasing a lot of people. He has created a very extensive list with over 150 high-profile contacts. These consists of agencies, athletes, communities, various artists and creators, and startups and other types of companies. And yeah, of course, getting customers takes time, especially in this phase where we are exploring use cases with our customers, and they are also trying to figure out how they're exactly going to implement it into their organization. But each week we're seeing a little progress on some of the bigger clients that we're trying to get on board. And we've got some very, very hot leads at the moment, and with some signed letters of intent. Of course, we can't say the names just yet, NDAs and stuff like that. But we can already say it's a very well-known music label here in the Netherlands, a non-profit organization. They want to, the non-profit organization wants to engage their community and bind people more to their community. There's a royally approved company founded in the 1500s, so a very old organization, and they want to move more into the future. They want to start up a project with NFTs. They've got some really practical ideas that we are helping them figure out. And there's a pretty well-known Dutch football club that we're talking with. So yeah, that's we really hope that in the next AMA we can show some logos and share some names and some exact plans. But everybody just has to be a little bit more patient for that to come to the light. Then, of course, the seed round update. Basically the same story. It's a big process. We've got a very long list of investors, ranging from like more traditional SaaS investors to companies that have more of a Web3 focus. We're also looking at what type of companies are investing in our competitors. Of course, they don't have to, so we're looking out for conflict of interest, of course, but this puts us in the right direction of who to contact and who we should pitch our decks to. So far, it's looking quite good, and there's a good connection building ratio. So we've got getting a lot of email opens, LinkedIn invites being accepted, and targets being started up. And one of the good news is that we've noticed that it's not a matter of non-investments due to a bear market at the moment. Companies are still investing in projects like ours. We just have to find the right market fit, and so we're working very hard on converting these very warm leads and contacts into actual investors. Stefan has outlined progress, outlined a process. We are about halfway there. So first we reached out to investment funds and strategic investors, and then the added companies like I just explained. We recently did a public announcement on our Twitter, like I just showed. Remember to tag those VCs. And now we're in the process of talking to private investors and moving forward in that direction. So there's a lot of stuff happening at the same time, all in the background, and we hope to share some very good news with you hopefully in the coming weeks or months around this. Mieszko, anything to add on this?
No, I think you were pretty right about what you were saying. So I just wanted to mention that also the public announcement did generate quite a bit of inbound interest, so that's nice. So instead of just chasing people and trying to get in touch, which is always difficult, but some of these investors are, well, most of the bigger knowns are from the US. You're obviously a European project, so that's a bit harder to get on their radar. People are actually approaching us now. Some of them is quite high quality, some of it a bit less, but that's always nice that they're like a bit warmer, right? Than cold outreach, which is always takes a lot of effort and has low chances of converting. So yeah, we are soldiering on through the bear. I think we'll be making progress, and yeah. I think we'll be able to share, like you said, something in the coming. It's difficult to give a timeline, so I don't want to commit to something. But yeah, soon.
Soon, of course. When update? Okay. Moving on. Yeah, over to you, Mieszko. Just give me a shout when I have to change the slides.
So I'm gonna talk you through quickly about our liquidity pools and the state of our treasury. So you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So I just took like a snapshot this morning, and this is the current state of affairs. So we have a bit over 1 million in liquidity over the various pools on Polygon and on Ethereum. So yeah, compared to the last snapshot we took over a month ago, obviously the liquidity has decreased because I think especially ETH has gone down almost half in price. So especially the Uniswap pool took quite a big hit. It's not so much that our token decreased in the value. I will show you a bit about how we're on the ETH ratio in a bit, but it's mostly the ETH and the whole market going down. So actually the decrease in the liquidity is about 20%. I don't think there is much to be done, about these macro conditions by our projects itself. What we need to do is just keep on building, keep on adding customers, and getting an investment, right? The good thing is that we were smart on making the biggest pools against USDC, right? So not exchanging most of the treasury into ETH. So it's mostly the Uniswap pool that's suffering. The ones on Polygon, which are against USDC, are holding quite well. And I wanted to mention that the one on Balancer is still offering over 30% of APR, which is like a pretty good deal when you're holding banks. I think it will go up. I'm almost certain it will go up this evening, or let's say at midnight, because there are some additional votes coming in for our pool. So it will become even a better deal. So if you're holding thanks, I would definitely recommend looking into the Balancer pool on Polygon. Yeah, so you'll get BAL tokens, which you can reinvest, or you can sell and buy groceries like Philip is doing. So no, I'm just joking. This is just a good deal for holders all around. This is the liquidity, and just wanted to mention that about 85% of this is treasury owned. So there is also some supplied by the community. So not all of this is treasury, but it's, let's say, a bit over 1 million is treasury owned, and the rest is user provided. And this is earning about 20 to 30K in swap fees a year. So this is the treasury slowly grows. I will comment on this a bit more about what we could do as a community with those funds. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so I touched upon this briefly already. This is actually the Thanks token price against ETH. The whole history of it from the start. So you see that we're basically at an all-time high. So the relative performance of the token is quite well. So we can be happy as a community that we're holding strong. Obviously, if you compare it to the US dollar, this graph will look quite different. So there's still work to be done, but we're outperforming the market, so that's super nice. And yeah, we need to keep doing what we're doing. Next slide. Yeah, okay. So there are some important liquidity decisions made, which you can read upon on the governance forum, which is linked in this slide. We'll share these slides and the video in our YouTube channel and on our socials, like we always do. You can always read those back and watch previous Ask Me Anything sessions. Definitely recommend that if you want to know all the details. But to summarize what has been decided now, there are two major decisions. One is to move the QuickSwap pool to Uniswap on Polygon and make it managed by the Gamma protocol. The biggest upside to this is that it will roughly double the liquidity of this pool with the same capital allocation. So that's become much more efficient. and it will also allow people to join for a higher yield when they supply liquidity to this pool. So that's a good win for everybody. And because there are not much, Uniswap on Polygon didn't exist when we launched, so that's why we're not there. But there are no apparent upsides to being on QuickSwap, at least not ones we could discover. Pretty good decision in my opinion, and we'll be executing this the next couple of weeks. This will also allow us to retain a bit of liquidity. The next proposal suggested to retain about 20,000 USDC. And to use this to acquire voting BAL tokens, balancer tokens. Why? Because then the treasury can vote for our own balancer pool, right? This is the one I mentioned before, and that's earning the high APR. We're kind of depending now on friendly whales from our community. A couple of those are voting for our own pool, which is super nice. But this is not sustainable for like years, right? We should have a treasury that is in control of their own, mining rewards. This would be a good way to diversify the treasury and also take a bit more control of our, rewards for token holders. So I'm quite happy about that. There are quite a few more steps I think we need to think about before we can execute that second one. So that will be up on the forum. One I wanted to mention before we move on to the next slide, because it's getting quite detailed, is that there is a new protocol out there, Aura, which might be a bit better deal than pure balancer tokens. But we need to run some calculations and propose this to the community and see what is a better purchase. But good that this is moving, and this will make our treasury, liquidity, everything will become stronger. So happy about those moves. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, also important topic. Actually, Marloes is in the call. She is on the move, so she's not able to discuss with us, but she's listening in. With her and like a wider, let's say, Dutch blockchain community, there is a lot of discussion about how to manage a DAO, right? We have a DAO that's up and coming. It's more of a multi-sig right now than an actual decentralized organization. But I think gradually we'll be moving there. And we're discussing the next steps, and I think we're ready to take some new steps the coming months. And I have outlined them on the next slide. What will happen? So yeah. So what? But first, before I explain what we'll do, I'll explain why we're doing this. So Peter is today not talking about the product. We've talked about the product extensively in the couple of past sessions. But one of the further reasons why he is not here is that we're actually in a feature freeze for the product. So we feel the product is pretty complete feature-wise at the moment. Obviously they were always adding and tweaking and improving things, but like the major things are done. And we also feel like you also see some more traction coming from Stefan's work in adding customers and users to the protocol. But we also feel that this is a good moment where we're actually ready for ecosystem growth. So now we've been busy building, really heads down. I think that was a good choice. It allowed us to focus. But now is a good time to also open up to the broader community, give them some more power probably, and help enable them to grow the ecosystem. And also, we have, like I explained before, we have quite a bit of funds which are left unused at the moment, right? So we have about 25K in swap fees, and the treasury is not mining itself. That's a decision by the core team, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. If it would be mining, it could earn up to probably 60K, maybe even a bit more if we increase the votes, which would add about 85K just to compare, right? What this budget means to the project. So our run rate as a company is about 300K a year currently. We are a small team. So adding about 85K to 100K is actually a very big impact, on what we could do with these funds. So I would encourage, the multi-sig and the community at large to find a way to actually, maybe not all. I think it would be wise to make it sustainable, but to spend some of this on ecosystem growth, or just simply put user growth, protocol growth. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see what the actual steps are. So when we go into July, which is now, I will be working on just to help the community on how to write a proper proposal. We've kind of freewheeling now on the governance forum. I write pieces sometimes. Somebody else writes a piece, but there is not like a set template on how to do this and how to proceed. So I think that would be very beneficial to have one. There are a lot of examples by other projects. So we'll look for best practices and borrow what's good and set up a template for everybody, and also some kind of decision workflow. Like, okay, if you make a proposal, how does this proceed from proposal to execution, right? This is also something that's up in the air at the moment. So that will be completed in July. In August, I think we should expand the amount of multi-sigs. It's the core team to external people. It's a quite small group, which allows us to move fast. But if we want to make a bit bigger decisions on how to spend funds, I think it would be better for the transparency, accountability to have a bit more signers on board. People who are invested in the token could be a good idea. Maybe some customers, maybe some prominent community members or advisors. Those are the people I would suggest to add. When this is done, I think it would be time to actually introduce voting. So then we have proposals, right? We have people who could execute them. So then we are ready to actually start voting with token holders. We have snapshot. We still need to figure out, because we are on Polygon and on Ethereum, on how to set this up in a multi-chain world. But I think those are solved problems. We need to look at best practices and implement them. And then last but not least, because then we have the workflow, we have the people who can execute it, we have the community who can vote, and but we also need an overview of what we're actually doing and funding, and if it's completed, and if the funding can be paid. In the meantime, this didn't exist, I think, a half year ago, but there is this great app called dWork, which manages this much like a Trello board or Agile board, like most of the software developers are used from their work, which allows you also to attach token rewards to a ticket, right? So that would work wonderfully, and assign people to them to execute them. So this will really give well, I'm not sure if we should call it a DAO just yet, but at least it will allow our community, the treasury, and the multi-sig holders to access funds, make decisions, and spend some of the funds to help grow the project. So I think this is the right way forward, and I'm really excited to implement this. Marloes and I, are reviewing this also, and to avoid mistakes and doing stupid stuff. But so far it seems so good. So happy to have this going forward. I think that's it from this update. You can go to the next slide, and I think that's the round of questions. So this is our team. So I'm not sure I added this slide, but just as a reminder, I guess. But we are here on Discord. You can reach almost anybody here through. We have a transparent handle, so yeah, reach out. Maybe somebody from our team has some questions. Jorrit, anything?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the dWork app. That's something that you that's the one you showed me like a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
And they were very early at the time. I think they got quite a big investment by now. So I think this is something that will be around, and we can build upon. It's not something that will like disappear in let's say half a year or so. So happy
No,
that because I think
yeah,
you talked to them and they didn't have a business model, right? That was basically their answer.
yeah, exactly. At the time, at least, yeah. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
quite
Yeah.
keen. I'm quite keen to see how that will work and um, how people will see those types of tickets and the rewards associated to them versus the type of programs that we are launching now. That's something we'll have to find out if eventually, I guess. But yeah, I mean it's a great way to work differently, but still structurally and decentralized with our community members. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it will really open up because people don't really know how to contribute at the moment, right? So there is a lot of happening on GitHub, but it's really technical. There is a lot of happening in Discord, but it's really detailed. And now it will be, if we actually execute this properly, it will be much more concrete. Like you can do this and that, and you'll get X amount of USDC or maybe thanks tokens. And I don't think this will be the same as the community rewards, which you can scan and QR codes. That's something different. That's more of marketing and gamification. This will be actually for serious work, right?
Not saying that
Okay.
isn't serious, of course, but I get what you mean.
Yeah. No, well,
Uh, I'm just joking.
absolutely, but just a few dollars for retweeting is something else than completing I don't know a product video or something and giving that requires a day of work, right? So it's a different level of engagement and a different level of effort, and we need both. So I think that will be fine.
Sure. Cool. No further questions from my side. Philip, maybe you, and otherwise we can.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably community members might ask. I see a lot more competition pop up, especially on the Polygon side, and so we are based on Polygon Matic. Have we considered potentially bridging over? I know funding would be an issue here if we were going to support multi-chain. If we are going to put our token in multi-chain, otherwise making the platform for the ability for per se make a different token on a different network, or I mean, you see Polygon have started up their own little system, but it's probably not as good as ours by our use case scenario. And yeah, what do we do to tackle that?
Very good question, actually. I'm actually writing, or at least I hope to finalize today, a roadmap article that kind of details on this a little bit. And yes, so multi-chain was always in the plans. Peter has kept a list of, I believe it's called EVM compatible chains that we could branch out to somewhere in the future. We've already taken a few first steps into that direction for the art, one of our clients. That supports cross-chain payments with Ethereum mainnet. But yeah, that's something that's definitely on the roadmap to expand to multiple chains, both for offering our customers a bit more flexibility, and also our clients, of course. Their community
Nice.
members. So
And
people have a more.
how long does the SDK usually take to roll out? Like, I mean, if you're going to go on EVM compatible chains, you could somehow roll this out in like a day or two.
Yeah, let's get Peter involved for answering that one. That's not something within my
Okay, now
know-how.
I think there are two considerations I would like to add. So I would like to stress that customers are not really asking about this. So the people we are actually trying to onboard into Web3, they don't really Web3 is so new to them that they don't really. It doesn't matter to them what chain you're using as long as they get the benefits, right? If they can have a token or an NFT or maybe raise some funds, or then they're already super happy. And whether it's on Polygon or maybe Gnosis or even on mainnet, they don't really care. So I really believe in just yes, we could branch out to other chains, maybe get some grants and do it for the hype. But probably, and we might still do that. But probably from the startup and company perspective, it's better to follow your users.
I
your actual
agree.
customers.
And I mean the point it wasn't the concern of the hype. It was the concern of reliance on the one chain. When we built something on Solana, kept breaking, and this is a completely different chain and ecosystem, but it's that concept that I do worry about in the potential future. You never know what could happen at any moment.
Yeah, I agree. So in general, blockchain should not break. If they,
Yeah.
that's already like red flag. But more generally speaking, even if you go into the interface now, and if you go into select the token, you will actually see that there are a couple of other chains mentioned, but they are not activated. So that hints kind of on our ideas of where this could go. Obviously, adding a chain it's not difficult to launch per se, but it's difficult to
Yeah,
maintain,
agree.
because suddenly you have these smart contracts living on different chains, and we are still our contracts are not immutable, most of them. So we are actually running updates and doing stuff,
Yeah.
because it's a product in development. So suddenly you have to update multiple chains, and this complexity actually goes exponentially. It's not a linear thing. So maybe 2 chains would be doable, 3 would be getting very difficult, and 4 will be terrible. So yeah, I think we need to choose wisely, and probably we'll follow maybe a big customer or something. That would be something like I would really like.
Yeah, I think that would be the
Just
best
to make it more
approach.
just to make it more concrete, maybe also in closing of this AMA, what's very good news, what wasn't mentioned here, is that the United Nations Development Program signed on for another year of our services, and as a protocol user. So that's super nice. And they are on Polygon, and they're doing quite a high volume in transactions, right? So they did, I think they did almost 80,000 transactions with us. So maybe they could benefit from a chain like Gnosis, for example, which is even faster and a lower cost. So that would be a concrete example of something that would make sense, in my opinion.
More private too.
Instead of chasing another chain just to hype it, or but we'll see how it goes. I think we talked to them. So what is happening now, that there is the summer period, and like big businesses are slowing down, and talks resume in August. So we'll see where that will go. And to close it, and when I'm rambling, just interrupt me. And you were asking us about competition. I see a lot of competition in NFTs. I don't see a lot of doing engagement token and NFTs like we are allowing people to do. So I think that's a differentiator. And I'm also not seeing a lot of people who are trying to onboard these big corporations. That's basically out of reach for most blockchain startups at this moment. So what we are trying to do is very hard, but if we succeed, we're going to succeed big, I predict. So let's keep on building.
Yeah, I agree. All right. If we have no community questions, I'm looking at the chats now. We could probably conclude this AMA. What do you think, guys?
Sounds good.
Look, there's another QR code if you're listening, Ian.
Well, to be fair, it's the same one as in the first slide. I've limited the amount of claims to a certain to a certain number of users. So for those watching this, make sure to scan it fast before they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've scanned it. I claimed my thing.
I got to scan it yet. Wait for me. Okay. I'll conclude the ending here. And thank you, everyone, for coming in and listening. It was a pleasure to talk to you all and listening to recording. Thank you as well. We will see you all next month.
Yeah.
Thank you. Talk to you next month. check out the YouTube channel. Most people are listening this, afterwards, so not live. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.